Hallo, herzlich willkommen. I speak in English, it's okay. So today we read from the Srimad-Bhagavatam, 7th canto, chapter 17, and it's verse number 8. So the chapter is called "The Lord Agrees to Become Aditi's Son." Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
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 Shri Aditi Uvacha.
Shri Aditi Uvacha.
Shri Aditi Uvacha.
Shri Aditi Uvacha.
Yakyesha Yakya Purusha Chutatyata Pada.
Yagyesha Yakya Purusha Chutatyata Pada.
Yagyesha Yakya Purusha Shayutatyata Pada.
Yagyesha Yakya Purusha Chutatyata Pada.
Tirtha Shavana Mangalana Madeya. Tirtha Shavana Mangalana Madeya. Apanaloka Vichino Pasamudaya Daya. Apanaloka Vichino Pasamudaya Daya. Samnakshi Shisha Bhagavan Asiti Nanata. Samnakshi Shisha Bhagavan Asiti Nanata. Shri Aditya Uvacha. Yakyesha Yakya Purusha Shachutatya Pada. Tirtha Shavana Mangalana Madeya. Apanaloka Vishchino Pasada Modayatya. Samnakshitisha Bhagavan Asiti Nanatha. Shri Aditi Uvacha. Yagyesha Yakya Purusha Chutatya Pada. Tirtha Shavana Mangalana Madeya. Apanaloka Vichino Pasamudaya. Samnakritisha Bhagavan Ashishati Nanatha. Shri Aditi Uvacha. The demigoddess Aditi said, Yaisha, O controller of all sacrificial ceremonies,
co-controller of all sacrificial ceremonies.
Yajna Purusha,
Yajna Purusha,
the person who enjoys the benefits of all sacrifices.
the person who enjoys the benefits of all sacrifices.
Achyuta,
Achyuta,
infallible.
infallible.
Tirthapada,
Tirthapada,
at whose lotus feet stand all the holy places of pilgrimage.
at whose lotus feet stand all the holy places of pilgrimage.
Tirthasava,
Tirthasava,
celebrated as the ultimate shelter of all saintly person.
celebrated as the ultimate shelter of all saintly persons.
Shravana,
Shavana,
hearing about whom
hearing about whom
Mangala
Mangala
is auspicious.
is auspicious.
Namadeya,
Namadeya,
to chant his name is also auspicious.
to chant his name is also auspicious.
Apana,
Apana,
surrendered.
surrender.
Loka,
Loka,
of people.
of people.
Vijan,
Vija,
dangerous material position.
dangerous material position.
Upashama,
Upashama,
diminishing.
diminishing.
Udaya,
Udaya,
who has appeared.
who has appeared.
Adya,
Adya,
the original personality of Godhead.
the original personality of Godhead.
Some auspiciousness.
Auspiciousness.
Na, our.
Our
Kriti,
Kriti,
kindly bestow upon us.
kindly bestow upon us.
Isha,
Isha,
O Supreme Controller.
O Supreme Controller.
Bhagavan,
Bhagavan,
O Lord.
O Lord.
Ashi,
Ashi,
you are.
you are.
Dinanata,
Dinanata,
the only shelter of the downtrodden.
the only shelter of the downtrodden.
Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. The goddess Aditi said, O Master and enjoyer of all sacrificial ceremonies, O infallible, O most famous person, whose name, when chanted, spread all good fortune, O original personality of Godhead, Supreme Controller, shelter of all holy places, you are the shelter of all poor, suffering living entities, and you have appeared to diminish their suffering. Please be kind to us and spread our good fortune. Purport. The Supreme Personality of Godhead is the master of those who observe vows and austerities, and it is He who bestows benedictions upon them. He is worshipable for the devotee throughout the devotee's life, for he never breaks his promises. He says in the Bhagavad Gita 9:31, Kaunteya pratijani hi name bhakta pranashati. O son of Kundi, declare it boldly that my devotee never perishes. The Lord is addressed here as Achyuta, the infallible, because he takes care of his devotees. Anyone inimical to the devotees is certainly vanquished by the mercy of the Lord. The Lord is the source of the Ganges water, and therefore he is addressed here as Tirthapat, indicating that all the holy places are at his lotus feet, or whatever he touches with his foot becomes a holy place. Bhagavad Gita, for example, begins with the words Dhama Kshetra Kurukshetra. Because the Lord was present on the battlefield of Kurukshetra, it became a Dharma Kshetra, a place of pilgrimage. Therefore the Pandavas, who were extremely religious, were assured of victory. Any place where the Supreme Personality of Godhead displays his pastimes, such as Vrindavan or Dwaraka, becomes a holy place. The chanting of the holy name of the Lord, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, is pleasing to the ear, and it expands good fortune to the audience who hears it chanted. Owing to the presence of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Aditi was fully assured that the troublesome condition created for her by the demons would now be ended. I'm going to read the verse again. Shri Aditi Vacha Yakesha Yakya Purusha Chutta Tirtha Pada Tirtha Shava Shavana Mangalana Deha Apanaloka Vichunu Prashamo Dayatya Samnak Trisha Bhagavan Asi Dinanatha. The goddess Aditi said, O master and enjoyer of all sacrificial ceremonies, O infallible and most famous persons, whose name, when chanted, spreads all good fortune, O original personality of Godhead, supreme controller, shelter of all holy places, you are the shelter of all poor, suffering living entities, and you have appeared to diminish their suffering. Please be kind to us and spread our good fortune. Om Jnana Timirandasya Jnana Jana Shalakaya Chakshu Unmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Shtabitam Yena Bhutale Svayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Svapadantikam Panchakabacharupyascha Kipa Sindhu Vyevita Patitanam Pavanibhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhaktavinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So here this chapter is called The Lord Agrees to Become Aditi's Son. So at this point, just at this very point, Aditi, she starts to offer her first prayer, and Vishnu, or the Supreme Lord, has appeared before her, but in the form of Narayan with 4 hands. His full manifested form of the Supreme Lord has appeared in front of Aditi, and now she starts to offer prayer. And she has been performing a rata, a special rata, under the guidance of her husband, Kashyapa Muni. She has been doing this rata, but she is not doing it for the sake simply of pleasing the Lord. She has a motive. And her motive is that her sons are suffering. They have been kicked out of the heavenly planets, and they are now not in a secure position, and therefore the suffering that Diti is speaking about in this verse actually also pertain to her own situation. You are the. It's actually in the word to word. It says Dinanatha. It says the only shelter of the downtrodden. So you are the shelter of all poor and suffering living entities. So when she is praying like this, she's having her own situation in mind. She's saying, yes, my Lord, you are the savior of, the protector of all poor souls, all the downtrodden. You give them shelter, but and therefore she's kind of like, look at my situation. I'm mean, I'm the most downtrodden at the moment. You know, our whole existence has been put upside down. Uh, we cannot perform our duties. And when Krishna, he kind of like answers in a few verses later, he is answering her, and he's kind of like telling to her, yeah, actually, you just want to have your real good position back so that you can, together with your sons, worship me again. So she's the demigods, they are servants of the Lord. So when they are installed in their proper position, when they are living the life they're supposed to live, not in this situation where they're kind of like thrown out of the heavenly kingdom, but if they're in their proper position, they actually use their time and their energy to worship the Lord. So for her, in one sense, she has some motive, but in the end, her motive is actually just to be reinstated in her proper position so that she can worship the Lord. So maybe we don't call it pure devotional service, but it's almost on that level. The demigods, they may have some motives, and they may, but she is praising the Lord in such a beautiful way in this verse. This is like her opening prayer, and she's making sure that that she understands. She's saying, O Master and enjoyer of all sacrificial ceremonies. So she has been doing some vows and austerity, some kind of sacrifice, and she is making sure in her opening line that she's making sure you are the enjoyer. I have been doing all of these things for your enjoyment. And then she's saying, infallible and most famous person, whose name, when chanted, spread all good fortune. So she knows that when Krishna is worshipped, and when the demigods take proper shelter of the Supreme Lord, then everything is auspicious. All good fortune is going to be there. So she has this deep faith in the Supreme Lord that she just has to take shelter. And then I'm not completely sure. Of course, we understand, because it's in Bhagavatam, we understand that everything that happened to the demigods at this point happened kind of like for a reason, so that the Lord could appear. But maybe there's another reason also why maybe they became a little lax in their worship, or maybe they took their situation maybe a little bit too much for granted. Oh, we are here in the heavenly planets, we are the demigods, maybe they became a little proud of their position. That's usually when changes come in the life of the devotee. That's usually Krishna, he wants to teach the devotees how to take proper shelter. And this is what, under the guidance of her husband, actually she did this Prayo-rata. She did this rata, but it was like 12 days. It was not like a huge sacrifice for her, but she got the instructions from her husband, Kashyapa Muni, but he had been doing lots of austerities and taking lots of vows. So it was actually on the benefit of the activities of her husband, she could actually do this rata, and it could have some effect. It was not only the 10 days that she did, she had the whole benefit of her husband. And because of actually he was doing all the austerities and all the things that actually summoned the Lord that he wanted to appear. And he appeared, first he appeared in the body of Kashyapa Muni, and then he appeared. He didn't really take birth, he just appeared, before her. And first he appeared as Narayana, or in this four-armed form, blackish, bluish, effulgent, beautiful, powerful, like that. But then, like an actor, it's described like an actor takes a role. He transformed himself to this draft Brahmana, and when he was in this form, then everybody came and gave him gifts, so that he would have his umbrella, his water pot, all the things that was his paraphernalia. They were all given at that point to him. So, and also at this point, because what is there in this description in the Bhagavatam, actually the demons had taken shelter of Brahmanas. I'm not completely sure what is the name of them. Shankaracharya. So they had taken shelter of Shankaracharya. And what Krishna is saying, what Vishnu is saying now to Aditi, she's saying, because the demon has taken shelter of Shankaracharya or Brahminical guidance, they will be very difficult to defeat in war. We can actually not do much, to defeat them at this point, because now they are under the protection of Brahminical culture. So there's not much we can do. And in this way, Krishna, he's also giving a clear understanding how powerful actually is the Brahminical culture. Even a person who is a demon, even if he takes shelter, proper shelter in the Brahminical culture, then even the righteous owner of the heavenly planet, they cannot do much. So the whole idea, what happens here is that Krishna, he has to think of think of a plan, how to get back the heavenly planets for the demigods again, without going to war, because the war thing, the demons had already won the war. That was why they were in their position. So Krishna, so therefore he come in this super humble form of a draft Brahmana. So he's like a small, he's like, has a very innocent appearance, very, very endearing and very innocent. And when Bali Maharaj, he sees him, so he's saying, you can ask for anything. You can have cows, you can have wives, you can have whatever you want, I will give you. And then the whole Leela unfolds. I'm not gonna spoil the plot now. You have to keep reading so we can understand what is gonna happen. But it's a very beautiful way how the Supreme Lord, he's using his charm, but he's also using part of the culture is that the king is gonna give something to the Brahmanas. So just in this way, Vamana Dev, he is taking the form of a Brahmana, and he is asking for charity, which is his right as a Brahmana. Brahmana can ask charity from the king, it's his right. So in this purport, Srila Prabhupada, he's kind of like using, it's interesting because he is making one statement and then he's quoting from the Bhagavad Gita. So he's making one statement, and it is he who bestows benediction upon them, those who perform vows and austerity. And then it says, he is worshipable for the devotees throughout the devotee's life. So it's not that you start worshipping the Lord and then you kind of like take a break and then you do something else and then you again start to worship it. This line is very clear. So he is worshipable for the devotees throughout the devotee's life, for he never breaks his promises. As he says in the Bhagavad Gita, Kaunteya Prahachijani Hiname Bhakta Panashati, O son of Kunti, Declare it boldly that my devotees never perishes. So Srila Prabhupada is making the point that Krishna, he never breaks his promise. And then he gives the example from the Bhagavad Gita. But actually in the Bhagavad Gita, because Krishna knew that he was breaking his promise. He gave a promise he's not going to fight on the battlefield of Kurukshetra. But he took up a wheel. It's not really a weapon, but he fought. It's not about the weapon, it's about the act of fighting. So he did break his promise. He said he's not going to fight, but then he fought. So so Krishna, he is in the Bhagavad Gita, he's saying it's better that I don't give my promise. Therefore he says to Arjuna, you declare it boldly. You say how it is. Mm-hmm. So you say that I'm always protecting my devotees and that my devotees will never perish under my protection. So in this way, Krishna, he kind of like got out of the situation. It's not that he doesn't keep his word, but he got Arjuna to say it. And in this way, Arjuna's word is not broken. So this is a very nice thing. And then the Lord, he's addressed as Achyuta, which means infallible. And this is because he takes care of his devotees. And then it's very strong. Srila Prabhupada is being very strong in this purport. We are now in the 8th canto, so we have to see maybe a little bit time messy. Maybe 8th canto was, I'm speculating now, but I'm just trying to understand why Srila Prabhupada is using such strong words in the purport that maybe this whole Bombay thing was going on at this time, this is where Srila Prabhupada, he was very much, Jai Shri Radhamadan Mahan. So Srila Prabhupada was very much fighting to establish a temple for Krishna. And the deities had been in a shack, in not a proper building. It was just these, just some tufted roof, like with some cloth on, really, really a simple condition, very, you couldn't even close it proper, so the mouses and the rats would run, it was a very, very difficult situation, and Srila Prabhupada had invited the deities to stay because he knew if the deities are on the land, then and they are already being worshipped, then from the society and from the authorities there would be some respect and also some kind of law that if the deities are there, you cannot move, you cannot move the people if the deities are there. So Srila Prabhupada is making this point here that anyone inimical to devotees is certainly vanquished by the mercy of the Lord. So if somebody, those persons who didn't want to fulfill their agreement with Srila Prabhupada, those who were cheating Srila Prabhupada, in this case in Bombay, Srila Prabhupada, he just kept on pushing for getting this property. The property was signed. There were all kinds of things were happening in this case. There's a whole book written by Giriraj Maharaj about this whole time. It was not a short time. It went on for maybe 1.5, 2 years, something long time, until Mr. Nair, he died, and his wife, she kind of like, okay, she kind of like understood, okay, now it's maybe the time to do the right thing. So she surrendered, and finally Srila Prabhupada got the property like legally. He already had it legally, but he was cheated out of it. So, but in this purport, Srila Prabhupada said, if somebody is inimical to the devotee, if you become an enemy of the devotee, you're not gonna last. It's gonna break you. You're not getting broken because you're an awful person. You're getting broken because you're inimical to a devotee. So Krishna, he will take care. Krishna takes care. When the devotees are in any way mistreated or any way. So this is what she has, Aditi, she has great faith in this shelter of the Lord, and also that he is, he gives shelter to all poor and suffering living entities. And you have appeared to diminish their suffering. So in this form, in this part of the Bhagavatam, the Lord, he is appearing just to give support to his surrendered souls. So this is like almost all the appearances of the Lord has a reason, and when we go deeper and look for the reason, it's always to reciprocate with the love of the devotees. So this is like the key. What is Krishna reacting to? He's always reacting to the love of his devotees. So even in this case, Aditi, she has some expectance. She's expecting from Krishna, please, you bring back my sons that they can enjoy the heavenly kingdom. She has this expectance from the Lord, but still she took the path of devotion, and you can understand from her prayer that she actually understands the power of the Lord, how every holy place become a holy place because of the presence of the Lord. And she's also saying how your holy name, whenever they are chanted, you are infallible, you're the most famous persons whose name, when chanted, spread all good fortune. So where the holy names are chanted, she's completely convinced that there will be a good fortune, there will be victory, there will be all the favorable situation that the demigods are wishing for in this situation. So I think it's a very powerful prayer. She's offering a very powerful prayer, and the purport of Srila Prabhupada, he is also going into details of this prayer. And so the chanting of the holy name of the Lord, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, is pleasing to the ear, and it expands good fortune to the audience who hears it chanted. This is a very, very wonderful way how you just need to sit and listen. That's why you see these young people, they always have their phone, and then they have some kirtan going on. you come into their sphere, and you're immediately you're in some kind of kirtan, So, like yesterday, they were helping. The day before, they were helping on the building site something, and always the kirtan of Kadamakanana Swami was always there. So I was it's just so moving, because they're very much attached to having the kirtan in their orbit, They have it on loud, and if they don't have it on loud, they will have their earbuds in the ears, and they will listen something, So the ear, it's very pleasing to the ears, but it's not the ear is just the gateway, and it's the gateway to the consciousness. So the consciousness become purified, and the consciousness become elevated, and the good fortune for the soul listening. This is what is happening. So Srila Prabhupada is making this point here. So I think today there will be a Harinam. So other people will hear the holy name. They will get the good fortune, will be spread through the chanting of the holy name. And this is actually what devotees, especially at this time, we kind of like dedicate ourselves to the spreading of the holy name. Because we know if Krishna is present as the holy name, and if he is going to be present, then all good fortune will be there. So we want to give it also to other people. So much for this verse today. Maybe there is some question, some comment on this. Yes.
Hare
Hare Krishna.
Thank you very much, Manjamani. I have two questions, if possible. You said at the beginning that Aditi had a motive behind her prayers. And so when I observe myself, I would say almost all the time I have my personal situation in mind when I pray. Also how can my prayer be more pure? Because I always feel totally dependent on Srila Mahaprabhu's and Srila Goloka's and Srila Prabhupada's mercy, and I take always shelter. So how is it with our prayers if we have our own situation in the background, not in mind?
We have to understand who are we praying to. So Krishna, he is the most merciful of all. So when he knows Aditi's attachments and her situation. He also knows your attachment and your situation. But somehow or other, he is listening to her prayer, and there may be this whatever motive she has, but in the end he turns it and he says, yes, but you just want to be together again with your sons in the heavenly planet so that you can proper worship me. So he, whatever you pray, Krishna, he is still gonna turn it in such a way that it's for your benefit. So don't. I mean, this sarva karma, whatever, you have all material desires, you have no material desires, you have desire for liberation, still you should surrender to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So our situation may be this or that, our motive may be this or that, but the point that we surrender to Krishna and that we turn to Krishna with our prayer. You could also kind of like go to a doctor, DT, maybe she would even have enough wealth to kind of like pay an army. So she could have turned somewhere else in her distress. And you may turn somewhere else in your distress, like from the material point of view, it may even make sense. But she didn't, she turned to the Supreme Lord as her only shelter. So this is the idea. When you turn to Krishna, he's gonna see the whole picture, and he's gonna help you in such a way that you will be eternally benefited. He may not solve your problem, kind of like, that may not be the solution for you. Deeper, on the deeper level, he's always going for the deeper level. So you turn to him. If he really cares about you, he's gonna solve it on a deeper level. If he is not care so much, he may kind of like throw some money at you or something, so that you're materially satisfied, But that's not we surrender to Krishna, actually, to the deepest surrender that happens is when we take the decision, I'm gonna finish up my material existence and not take birth again. I'm gonna leave this world, I'm gonna reinstate myself in my loving relationship with the Supreme Lord, and this is where I'm going. So when that decision is taken, Krishna may use whatever karma, prarabdha karma, whatever whatever is left of our karma, he may use it just to remind us that the material world is not a place of pleasure. So that we can actually understand, oh, I really need to concentrate on my path of going back home, back to Godhead. I'm not going to stay in this material world for another 10,000 lifetimes. I'm going to finish up within, this lifetime, maybe next lifetime, kind of like, but I really want to be serious. And if that decision has been there within the heart of the devotee, then we may face very harsh difficulties, but that's the rest of our karma. And then we can actually use the situation even to surrender more. If you have yourself experienced a deep pain, like in relationships or physical pain or whatever it is, when you see somebody else, you can actually feel real compassion because you know what they are going through. So sometimes Krishna, he may also use your situations in such a way that you see, oh yes, this place is really a place of suffering. It is. And because you realize that, you have also compassion for others, because everybody is suffering in one way or another. It's not a place really to plan your future. Yeah. So we should go for a future completely on a transcendental plane. That should be our future. And in this way, when we have this, we have a very bright future. It's going to be the best. So you may have, you can pray to Krishna, kind of like, please at least let me get the quality of tolerance that I can actually, go through this without going crazy, kind of like this. You can, of course, you can pray, but the real prayer should actually be, let me be true in my devotion to you. Let me only take shelter of you in my,
Aditi did that because she first took shelter of Kasyapa Muni.
Yes.
The role of the spiritual master is, and because he told her to do that.
Yeah.
She did it.
She did it. Yes. Yeah.
Take shelter of the right person, but then actually also do what they tell you to do.
Yes. Yes. So she followed the path given by her husband, who was in this, in her situation, was a spiritual master. So she took it very serious. But I don't know really if she would have taken the spiritual path that serious if her situation had been easy. That's the whole idea of, you can understand in this past time, there was a lot of suffering, she was really worried about because...
that's true.
Yeah.
I mean, people suffer like anything, but they are people who then choose not to take shelter in Krishna.
Yes. Yes.
Down there, like they use drugs, or
they blame the whole world,
they use drugs, they whatever, they try and push down that feeling or whatever.
Yeah.
By anything other than
taking shelter. Yeah, they take a gun, they go in a school and shoot everybody. People are doing crazy things out of desperation because they are not taking shelter of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So you can just be very happy. You can say, whatever is my situation, I can do the very best. I can take shelter of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And the idea is, you have to understand, what you call that, you have to understand your tribe, you have to understand where you belong. And if you have that deep sense of belonging in Krishna's spiritual family, then things may not be easy. Material situation may be difficult. Health may be difficult. Relationships even may be difficult. But you're still doing the very, very best. And it's catapulting you out, completely out of them. You're solving the ultimate problem, the problem of birth and death. So we may not be completely pure, but if your situation, this is also the idea, if your situation is going to change and be much better, what are you going to do? So then you kind of like, within yourself, okay, if my situation is going to be better, I'm going to serve Krishna more. So you have to understand, you say, oh, I don't have a good motive, but it may not be true. You may have a very pure motive, because as soon as you have more time, you're going to chant more. As soon as you have more time, you're going to read more. So it's not that, don't make yourself bad. You also have to have a little faith in yourself that you have chosen your spiritual path, and you're going for it. As good as you can. Sometimes you also have to, pat yourself a little bit on the back and say, okay, I'm going in the right. I'm still here. I'm still here. I'm still going in the right direction. I'm still taking shelter as well as I can. Taking inspiration from other devotees. Taking time to be in Srila Prabhupada's association, reading Srila Prabhupada's books. I found one book which is Renunciation Through Wisdom. So this is a book Srila Prabhupada wrote, but he didn't write it in a book form. He wrote this as articles from 48 to 58 or something. He was doing some work for God Brothers, and doing the editorial work for his God Brother for a magazine in the Bengali language. So these texts were originally written in Bengali language, but they were written long before Srila Prabhupada worked on the Bhagavatam. So it's very interesting, you have to get really like, wow, how was he preaching at that time, He is speaking about something really interesting, because he's saying that he's speaking about the importance of deity worship. And he's saying that actually there should be Radha Krishna, Sita Ram, Lakshmi Narayan, deity worship should be in. Therefore, we request the owners of large factories and businesses and firms to establish worship and service of any of these three deities in their establishment. So Srila Prabhupada wanted that big factories, because where do people spend most of their time? On the work. So he's saying all the big factories, all the big companies, they should have deities, and the deities should be worshipped in the factory. It's very, very revolutionary. You're thinking, oh, no, the deities should be in the temple. But here Prabhupada, he has a vision, kind of like, if the people don't come to the deity has to come to the people. So it's very interesting. You take association with Srila Prabhupada through his books, you get his ideas. He has very radical, very interesting ideas, And we can get smitten with Prabhupada's idea. What he wanted to establish Krishna consciousness for the masses of people. It was not meant for a small elite group of people. It was really meant for everybody can be a devotee of Lord. Everybody can get the mercy of Lord Chaitanya. You said you had two questions?
You said, you spoke about that the Brahminic culture is very powerful.
Yes.
And I assume you have already for a long time second initiation. Is that something, because I see myself quite far away from these Brahminical qualities. Is there something that we can contribute ourselves to increase this Brahminical power in us? Also, for instance, I chant Gayatri, and I don't know what kind of courses, but I would love to read Satyananda Maharaj's book, but I struggle already with some reading time of the Prabhupada's book. Also, is there something in our daily life what I could do from my side to get more stronger in this position?
One very important quality of a Brahmana is that they always want to learn. They are like a sponge for transcendental knowledge. They just want to absorb transcendental knowledge. So, and then in turn to give it. That's practically their whole existence, you know. Absorb transcendental knowledge and give transcendental knowledge. That is like the Brahminical persons. They are the teachers of society. They teach by personal example, and we know from the Bhagavad Gita the qualities of the Brahmanas. It's interesting because the qualities of everybody else in the Bhagavad Gita, they are not so, you know, there are not so many points.
Yeah.
But the qualities of the Brahmana, there's lots of points. What are these qualities? So developing these qualities and be completely absorbed in knowledge, then that's actually the strength of the Brahmana. There used to be, you know, when we had this have to take cold showers outside in the winter, you know, with a bucket of water on Sankirtan. It was like, austerity is the wealth of the Brahmana, austerity is the wealth of the Brahmana. So yeah, that is our wealth. If we want to follow Brahminical culture, it's not that we are just, you see, there's also the saying that the Brahmana is the mouth of Lord Vishnu. So you have Brahmanas, they are only kind of like in the eating category. That's not what we want to cultivate, you know. We want to be, you know, go for all the other qualities also of the Brahmanas. But I see actually that the Vaishnava, he is even higher than the Brahmana. He may not even, you know, a Vaishnava, he may not even be kind of like a Brahmana. He may be like a handyman, you know, working with his hands. He may be like a sutra, a musician, you know. All artists, all kinds of artists within society are in the category of sutras. And that may be his whole, but he's a Vaishnava. So he's much more elevated than even a Brahmana, who's not a Brahmana, who's not a, Srila Prabhupada is just speaking this, he's saying a Brahmana who's not a Vaishnava, he's kind of like useless. So it's not, you know, and that we can see with Shukracharya also, because Shukracharya, he got really attached to being a Brahmana and to kind of like he was living, because Bali Maharaj, he was giving, you know, he was giving donations for his livelihood. So he was living as a Brahmana on the donation of a Kshatriya. So when Bali Maharaj, he just wanted to surrender to the wish of Vamanadev to give 3 steps of land. Then Shukracharya is thinking, no, don't do it. This is Vishnu, he's gonna trick you, you know, and he's gonna take everything from you. And if you give everything to Vishnu, then you cannot give anything to me. So he was kind of like Brahminical, but he was very attached to getting his donations, you know, for his livelihood. So you know, if you're not a Vaishnava, Brahminical qualities, yes, it's very good, but not without having surrender to Krishna in the center. Then it's much more valuable to be an artist and paint a beautiful picture of Krishna. Prabhupada said these are windows to the spiritual world. If you can do that with your service, make a window into the spiritual world, it may be much more valuable. So the Vaishnava is always above. Yes. So be a Vaishnava. Okay, they're good? Thank you. Hare Krishna.